friends, it's Mr. Goodpliers, back again. My background is vintage car parts and vehicles. I love them, but just as much, I love the places they rest, the people who have them, and the stories and lore that come along too. So follow me and I'll show you what I found today. Hi, today we are in Newton, Kansas, and this is Resting Relics. The shop that I'm at was an old auto repair place, and they had started out on independent makes, which were Nash, American Motors, and Ramblers, things like that. And later they moved on to import cars, which was Volvos mainly, some Toyotas, and as well as other European makes, English, German. So today we're gonna just kind of walk around and see what we can find. This is kind of a bit of a urban archaeology project in some ways, so we'll be walking around and see what's out here. So the first vehicle I'm going to tell you about is this Resting Relic 1941 Nash. So this car, you know, being one of the earliest ones sitting at the place, it's laid here a long time, and you know, it's pretty rusted down to the point where really it's just a parts car. But to the guy that's needing pieces of a 1941 Nash, it's a very old car, fixing to be 80 years old, and there's just not one around every corner. And you kind of think of all the years of just accidents, and cars wear out, they go to the junkyards, you have fires, floods, demolition derbies. Every year there's just that attrition, you know, of less and less old cars. So to see something like this that's been a resting relic for as many years as it has, it's pretty amazing to just see a car that even still exists after 80 years. So walking around it, I mean, the car's fairly straight. The stainless trim is in pretty good shape, so there's a lot of parts that'll be of good use to someone restoring one. Hard to find, you know, there's very little for a 1941 Nash that is reproduced. Unfortunately, the hood ornament there, the Flying Lady, has gotten broken off, taken for a souvenir, but there's enough left here of this car that we will be pulling it out, hauling it home, and it'll be one that'll donate parts to somebody's future restoration or current restoration. I'm gonna check out what's in the old shop. Well, there's not a whole lot remaining in here. This place has kind of been open to the elements and kind of ransacked by scavengers and thieves over the years. So, still, you know, a lot of old historical things in here, artifacts of their time, so I'm gonna kind of take a look and see what I can find. We didn't find much in the old shop, so let's take a look at what's in the new shop. So we're back here in the back of the new shop. I call it the new shop, but this place has been out of business since the late 80s, early 90s, and probably sometime maybe mid 90s, based on the dates of some of the phone books and things that we've run across in here. So primarily the things in this section of the building are import car parts. So this shop was switched over to be foreign car service mainly, and you see a lot of 70s era. Volvo and Toyota were their main focus, but there were others you see too, such as Datsuns and a few European cars, but not that many. Although in a town this size, Newton, Kansas, there probably weren't a whole lot of options for foreign car service, so this was kind of the place. And unfortunately, this sitting in an open shed and the shop having broken windows, garage door panels down, the place has just been pretty ransacked. So my focus for being here kind of was less for buying parts from the owner and more really of just telling the story and kind of doing a urban archaeology expedition. So we're gonna kind of film around and show you some of the little pieces and parts that we found. I'm standing next to a Kelvinator refrigerator, and as you'll see kind of in the shots around the place, there's a lot of appliance parts that are laying around. And so this place, there's a good chance that they did a lot of service and repair of appliances as well as vehicles. The reason I've stopped here to kind of talk about this particular refrigerator is that it's a Kelvinator. Now, Kelvinator was made by the Nash Corporation, so it's kind of amazing to think the 1941 Nash that we started out next to was made by the same company as this refrigerator. And Kelvinator, it was a companion product. Now, Nash was not the only company to have a sister brand like Kelvinator for refrigeration. A lot of us are familiar with General Motors and Frigidaire. Frigidaire was their refrigeration division, and Frigidaire also did other household refrigeration things. Others were International Harvester. International Harvester made refrigerators, chest freezers. They also made window units for air conditioning houses. So kind of one of those interesting spots in American history where there was kind of more of a horizontal integration of manufacturing capabilities. And especially once refrigeration came to broad use in vehicles in the 1950s, that was just another thing that they were able to kind of bring on board and expand that refrigeration to mobile units such as vehicles. Best part of the house here, we found another Kelvinator refrigerator. And this one probably was one that was in use the last time this house was lived in, which, based on some of the papers and things laying around, probably 1960s era sometime. Wizard, wow. Huh. That's probably Western Auto. Western Auto sold Wizard stuff. Yeah, the old washers would be neat to catch. Other people look at this and see a dilapidated rack, but this is just fascinating to walk around these places. Wish the old walls could talk. Wait, are those some sort of old... Oh wow, Volvos. Let's go check these out. Well, they sure don't make Volvos like this anymore. First glance, I thought we were looking at Volkswagen Beetles, but these are actually... I'm gonna call these probably mid-60s era, maybe early 60s, late 50s Volvos. Just neat old cars. I don't know anything about them, but I'll kind of research and we'll put some facts about them on the video for you guys.
Fine, gonna take some time, gonna make her mine, gonna make her mine.
This is Ford, and as some of us know, and others are soon to find out, these Fords are built around the world. This is actually the English Ford. There were German Fords, US Fords, and South American Fords. This is the Anglia, being the German Ford, and it is recognizable as the car from the Harry Potter movies. I loaded up several unique items from the shop and property. My favorite find indoors was this Dovetail Babbitt box. Babbitt is a lead alloy used for the insert bearings in vintage engines. The town that this lead was mined in, Pitcher, Oklahoma, was closed due to lead contamination, and all of its residents were relocated to other communities. My favorite outdoor find was this Stuart Warner emblem, likely from an old refrigerator. Like Nash-Kelvinator, Stuart Warner had connections to automotive component manufacturing. They built speedometers, gauges, and a gasoline-powered heater called the Southwind heater. The Terraplane was the junior series of the Hudsons, and this one, for what you can see as little as left of it, it was a bit of a challenge to identify it. And our first guess, we kind of thought it looked a bit like a Packard, but then we were able to narrow down that the shape of the windshield definitely had it as a Terraplane. And this is a car that there's just not too much left of, but you know, this one is over 80 years old, and even if you needed a piece of the window trim, which all of those are still intact inside the car here, that would be probably one of the last places left to be able to find a piece like that. And some of these vehicles that have laid here, they were used for storage of different parts. There's one down the way that has oil pans, and this car had clutch discs stored in it. Now the clutch disc is the coupling between the engine and the transmission. The particular one that I'm showing you here is a cork clutch, which was specific to Hudson and Terraplane. You can see the little holes there where some of the corks have come out. And the cork clutch it spun in a bath of oil. And so there was a special clutch oil that Hudson and Terraplane had. So that's just kind of another little sub-identifier to say, hey, this is a Terraplane. Obviously no engine, no transmission in it, but that's a piece of this car that was laying in there that kind of guides further identification of it as a Hudson Terraplane. I negotiated to buy this German Ford. It is a Taunus 15M model. It was built in 1955. Nature and vandals have not been kind to it, but it was one of the few imported to the US and one of fewer remaining, so it deserves preservation. This car was a design and engineering collaboration of US and German Ford employees. The US gave significant assistance to rebuilding post-World War II Germany, and this car is a relic of that period of world history. It is called the 15M because of its 1.5-liter engine. I will get this car back to the shop, look it over, assess it, and determine what will be involved to rebuild it. Mr. Good Pliers, thanks for coming along for another Resting Relics in Newton, Kansas. Mr. Good Pliers, saying goodbye.